to the Houndstrings Podcast, episode 4, with me, Alex. Whether you're a returning viewer or a new viewer, thank you for being here. I really wouldn't be here without you. And welcome to the show. This is a podcast about knitting, crochet, other fun, crafty things. It's about music, whether it's my adventures in learning 3 different instruments. We'll get into that later. Or just things that I'm listening to, or things that you guys enjoy. And by the way, feel free to chatter in the comments below. And it's about fun things in life in general. And you'll get to see cameo appearances from my dog Linus, and he is the Hound of Houndstrings. So no matter where you're from and how you came to find me, welcome. And thanks again for being here. Now, for my returning viewers, you probably saw the joint episode that I did with Jessie of the 2 Sticks and Strings podcast. It took a lot not to say Army Wife Knitting Life, because I know that's her podcast name now, but whenever I get in front of the camera, I keep wanting to say Army Wife Knitting Life. She used to be the Army Wife Knitting Life podcast. That is still her Instagram and Ravelry handle, but her show is now called 2 Sticks and String, and that's her catchphrase. Now, chances are you're here because of her, which I am very grateful. But if you happen to stumble upon my show just by happenstance, check her out. She is awesome. We had a lot of fun doing our joint show, and for more fun and other fun things, check out her show as well. Now, while I'm mentioning her, I do want to advertise her make-along, because I'm participating in that myself. And it is the Yoo-Hoo Big Stash Blowout. And that is a riff off of Yoo-Hoo Big Summer Blowout from Frozen. And I think I mentioned before, it is a year-long make-along. Whether your projects are crochet, knitting, loom knitting, weaving. If you can make it with yarn and you can get it out of your stash, I believe it counts. I would say check her show and check the group on Ravelry just to be safe. But it started May 1st of this year and goes until May 1st, 2020. But it's a lot of fun, and yeah, join the group while you're on Ravelry as well. So again, I will be participating in that. She's also participating in a bunch of other fun make-alongs, whether they're knit-alongs, crochet-alongs, anything alongs. But since there are quite a few, I would say check out her channel to see what those are. Now, and then I will have other general announcements, but I'll have those closer to the end of the episode, because I want to get started on some of the crafty goodness. I'm just going to adjust the brightness a little bit. It's a cloudy day, so the clouds are rolling in and out, so forgive the lighting situation. All right. So first off, finished objects. I have 2. I am so excited. So first one, you probably recognize this from the joint episode with myself and Jess. My Bridget hat is finally complete. Well, not finally. It seems like I worked this up in a flash. I think it's a combination of I'm becoming a lot faster, and also I had a lot of downtime to crank this out. I don't remember exactly when I started. but I was finished within a matter of a few days. Because, let me see, I'm going to look at a calendar. Yeah, bother. Whatever. The main thing is, this is probably the fastest project I have ever cranked out. And I will have the pattern name and the designer in the caption below. Same with pretty much anything else. But this was all, I can't tell you how much fun this was. And it's one of those where once you have an idea of what the pattern calls for, you know, once you've paid attention to like the first repeat, the second repeat is no problem at all. Because unlike traditional Celtic cables that kind of intertwine and extend, you don't really break them up. Some of them disappear and appear from the background. So again, it's one that you do have to kind of pay attention to. I would suggest looking at even if you're not really a chart person, kind of checking out the chart along with the written pattern, because that way you're not caught off guard like, oh wait, was I supposed to have a cable here before, or wait, this one seems to have disappeared, because they do that. But it's, oh my gosh, so much fun. Again, I cannot tell you how much I love this. And the yarn I used is Sweet Georgia Superwash DK, and the colorway is Jasmine. And I'm not going to get into that, but if you want to burst into a whole new world, go back an episode. You'll see me talk about this when I just barely started, and it's hilarious. So anyway, this is the Bridget hat, and just so you can kind of see it on. Looks a little better when I have makeup and earrings on, but I think it's so super cute. And that's funny because normally I would not have been a hat person, or, well, I wouldn't have been a beanie person, but I love it. I'm so excited. My other finished object, I just took them off of the sock blocker, but I have a pair of socks finished. See? 2 socks. I'm very happy. Normally I do 2 at a time, but I didn't want to bother with caking up the yarn, dividing it in half, and blah 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 blah, and then having 2 partial balls of yarn instead of just one larger partial ball of yarn with the remnants. But yeah, they're complete. So the yarn is Regia in the Fia Fadig, or 4-ply, and I forget the colorway number, but I got the yarn while I was in Germany, and I am so glad I bought 2 skeins, because how cute are these? And these are not for myself. These are for my grandmother, my Grandma Mary in Wisconsin this time, so on my mom's side of the family. She's really my step-grandmother, but who even cares? I love her to pieces. But, yeah. So happy, and I think I cranked these out in less than 2 weeks. The pattern that I use is, for the toe, I do the Judy's Magic Cast On. It is Judy's Magic Cast On, right? Well, that's what the captions below are for. And then from there I do, for the whole thing I use a universal toe-up sock pattern, which is available on nitty.com. My favorite pattern website other than Ravelry. So I use that to get the sizing. For the toes, I do the magic cast on. The heels this time are the Fishlets Kiss heel, and that is a paid for pattern on Ravelry, but it's $1. Oh my gosh, and it gives you the best looking heels you will ever see. No gaps, no trying to remember which side you're on when you're doing short rows. I will say the technique is very similar to short rows, so if that's something that you're already familiar with, there aren't any wraps and turns. I'm not giving away any more because it's only $1 and the designer worked so freaking hard to get this out to you that she deserves that dollar. And again, best dollar you will ever spend. And it's not, she doesn't just go over how to do the heel. She goes over how to get the best fit for your socks you will ever get. So yeah. And then for the cuff, I did 2x2 ribbing, about 2 inches when they're relaxed. And I still need to weave in ends, but otherwise they're a finished object. So once I finish recording, I'm going to weave in the ends and get these in an envelope and go to the post office and drop them off and get them on their way. So I think that's the most finished objects I've ever had for one episode. I mean, other than the joint episode and other than the very first episode. Now, I do have some future knitting. These aren't quite works in progress yet because I haven't started, but it's not exactly Stash Enhancement because most of it isn't exactly new. So excuse me a moment. Uh-oh, where did I put it? So I'm going to take a quick break, find the yarn that I was looking for, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. So I found what I was looking for, and I decided to take the opportunity to get a little something in my stomach. So anyway, future knitting. So one project is yet another pair of socks. I will be making some for my mom this time out of this beautiful Alexandra's Crafts. And she is based in Oregon, and her yarn is absolutely gorgeous. And I thought it would be appropriate because Alexandra is my full name. So for my mom to have something made by me and out of yarn called Alexandra's Crafts, I thought that would be pretty cute. So this is her Black Butte base, which is a fingering sock weight yarn, and it's 60% wool, 20% silk, and 20% yak. So her feet are going to be very spoiled. And the colorway is called Kaleidoscope. And oh my gosh, these are beautiful. And just going to adjust the lighting. Again, it's a bit of a gray day, but clouds are kind of rolling in and out. But this is very similar to another yarn that I have. This was going to be a Mother's Day gift, but it'll be a little bit belated, mostly because I do have one other project that I would like to get started ahead of time. But I'll get into that after this. So I'm going to do another pair of socks for my mom. This is very similar to another yarn that I have in my stash. I believe it's by Inner Yarn Zen, and the colorway for that yarn is called Wonder Woman. Now, I thought with a name like that, that would have to be a Mother's Day project. However, looking at the colors, while they were in theory they were her colors, I think the tones just weren't quite right. They were very bright. These are a little bit more jewelly, a little bit calmer. I would definitely not say that they're muted, because they're very rich colors. However, they're more of the jewel tone, just a little bit more refined. So probably going to stick with my toe-up sock recipe, get her measurements, using, of course, the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which I can't stop talking about it. I think I mentioned it before, but if I ever teach somebody how to make a pair of socks, I am making them by that pattern. It is that good. But probably going to stick with that recipe and maybe add a little bit of a lacy knot cable. We'll see. We'll figure it out. So that is future knitting number 1. Future project number 2, this time not knitting. I will be making a blanket, crocheted. Woo, there we go. I will be making a crocheted blanket that I will be raffling off for work, because if you haven't watched before, I work for San Diego Humane Society, and we're coming on to our annual Day of Giving. Now, we celebrate pretty much all month long, starting in May, and the official Day of Giving is, I believe, June 27th. But I think that's it. But we'll see. But anyway, I have 3 beautiful skeins of yarn. This is, just use this one. This is from Joanne. It's just the Big Twist Value, 100% acrylic, medium or Aran weight. And I have, for the colors that I've chosen, I have medium gray, which is coming out more like a neutral charcoal, like just a plain gray. But no, it is a gorgeous taupe. And they call it medium gray, but it's beautiful. And maybe if I can get a good photograph of all 3 of them together, that's a little bit more true to color, I'll post that. But we have the medium gray. Again, I would call it taupe, but anyway. Medium denim, which again, I don't know what it is today with the lighting. Things just really aren't coming out that true. This is more of like a medium denim. It doesn't have like the heathering that denim usually does, but you get the drift. And then dark denim. It's coming out a little bit more teal, but it looks like a nice dark wash jean. Again, just minus the heathering that denim usually has. But with that, I still have to choose a pattern, but I do know that it will be crocheted. I'm thinking corner to corner. I do have a few patterns in mind, so probably by the next time I check in with you guys, I'll have something figured out. And then that's it for current projects. Again, I don't have any whips, but I will next episode. Now it's time for Stash Enhancement. And I was a little bad. I did buy yarn. Technically, it was before the big stash blowout. However, I didn't add it to my raffle race stash, and that I believe is one of the rules. So I'm not sure if it'll count. Just let me know if I'm wrong. But it was really good. Other than the big twist, which I plan on using every scrap of yarn out of those skeins. This wasn't stash for stash. This kind of was, but I do have a pattern in mind for it. So before I start on that, this is Rowan Silky Lace. It is I know it, of course, silk. So it's 65% cotton, 35% silk, 50 grams per ball. There we go. And let's see, the colorway is, the colorway number is 9, and it's called Jade. Which I think this is a little limey for jade, but it's still so pretty. I love it. And the pattern that I have in mind for it is in this little booklet, Rowan Selects. Now, the reason I bought the yarn in the first place is if you purchased enough for a pattern in this book, you get the book for free. And that reminds me, I got this at Yarning for You, and they are now a Rowan flagship store. So exciting. You know I love my indie dyers, but Rowan just makes such great yarn too. I'm okay. If I'm going to go with a big commercial brand, I'm going to go with Rowan. And again, got the book for free. So the main goal was to buy the yarn to get the book. And the pattern I'm going to make is, let me find a large picture. Organza. And the designer is Lisa Richardson. And I thought that would be just so freaking cute for summer, especially in this color. Love it. I love it. And generally my rule of thumb is I have to like at least half of the patterns in a book before I buy it, or buy the yarn to get the free book. Because I mean, either way you look at it, you have to pay for something. But anyway, not only do they have that pattern, look at this pattern on the front. So pretty. And I definitely have some yarn that would be perfect for this one. And what is that pattern, by the way? It's called Habutai, or Habuati, and this is by Annika Andrea Volke, or Wolk. You can kind of make that out, maybe. Super cute, though. And I think that would be a really nice introduction to color work as well. Another one that I really like is Georgette. And this one I just thought was so unusual and so pretty. This one is called Taffeta. So those are just a handful of patterns in this little booklet. But what I really like about it is it's dual language. So so the first half has, or the first third or so has just pictures of the patterns and the designer name and the pages that the patterns are on. Then when it comes to the written instructions, has them in English. So it goes through all the patterns in English. Has info, abbreviations, sizing guide, and then all the patterns again in German. And I found this one when I had returned from Germany. So how cool is that? So that is another last acquisition, is yet another pattern book, Interpretations, and this is Interpretations Volume 6. And it's by Hohi Locatelli and Vera. I'm totally going to mispronounce this, but Valimaki, or again, probably pronounced it incorrectly, but at least you can see them and look them up. And the patterns in here are absolutely gorgeous as well. And again, if I didn't like at least half of the patterns, I wouldn't get it. Wouldn't have gotten it. But some of my favorites are the lace wraps. For instance, this is the Resolute wrap. And pardon the glare. And notice that I am hiding the charts, or trying to hide the charts. Now, I know knitters are mostly good people, but just I'm trusting you not to freeze frame that and steal the pattern, because that would be wrong. Instant bad karma. Then another one that I like. Where is it? They even have some socks in there. Almost there. There we go. The Evolve shawl. And again, that one's more of a stole. It's so pretty. And I thought there was maybe one more. Oh, I guess that was it. I guess that was, the Evolve shawl. Oh, it is a triangular shawl. There we go. And I have a few yarns in mind for that one as well. So, again, got a lot of inspiration for future knitting in here, and a lot of inspiration for stash busting as well. Because I don't have a huge amount of stash, but I want to eventually not really have a stash. So anyway, I'm going to take another break, and then we'll get into some music and then general life chatter and announcements. So see you in a bit. There we go. And we're back with the music this time. Now, to start off, obviously change of scenery and change of clothes. It was getting a little chilly. I was originally wearing a little summer dress because it was kind of warm and rainy, which is a little odd. But it cooled off, but now the sun's out. That's always nice. So before I begin, for anyone new to the show, I'm trying to teach myself how to play the guitar, the harp, which I have right here, and the ukulele. So those are the three the three instruments that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. Now, for returning viewers, I have not practiced in several months, it feels like. So, I actually just started re-upping this weekend, and right now I'm just going through my lesson, or my book. If you're curious, I use Teach Yourself to Play the Folk Harp by Sylvia Woods, and she does an amazing job. She also, and it's, by the way, the first book in a series, so hopefully I'll be able to complete this at some point. And I apologize for the lighting acting weird. But hopefully I'll be able to go through the whole book at some point and see what the next book in the series would be. But right now, to start out, before I practice any songs, which if you want to hear what I know, check out back episodes, because that's all I got at this point. But right now, I'm just going through each of the lessons and playing the exercises. So right now, I'm up to... So I think I left off at lesson 4. So right now I'm just working on those exercises, not even the songs in the lessons, at least not yet. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to really make sure that I get back some of the dexterity that I had lost. Because there's a lot of work. A lot of it is finger placement, which, when I know someone that's first sitting down to the harp, just kind of want to, do something like that where you move your individual fingers. But if you've ever played piano, you kind of know that fingering is really important, and fingering in the harp is just as important. So, for instance, one thing that you'll want to know right away if you're first starting out is you'll use 4 of your 5 fingers. So your thumb through ring finger, and the pinky, there's just not enough length to seriously reach from note to note or from string to string and the pinky just kind of gets in the way. So kind of curl it into your hand. And then for the left hand, let's say I'm starting out with all 4 strings. So I'm not going to say which lesson these exercises come from, because that would be giving away secret sauce, I think. And, definitely want to support. I'm all about supporting the creators, whether it's a pattern or in this case, someone who made a lesson book for teaching yourself how to play a certain instrument. But this is kind of basic. This is basic knowledge that everybody knows, so I don't feel too bad about giving this away. So when you set yourself up for the harp, you want to make sure, let's say you're about to do, 4 consecutive notes. Again, you kind of tuck your pinky finger out of the way, put your ring finger on, we'll start with C for instance. C, middle finger on D, index finger on E, and then for F, with your thumb, want to have that nice and high in the air. Nice and high up on the string, because otherwise, your thumb's running into the palm of your hand, and that just makes for awkward playing. It's not fun. So, thumbs up. Remember, thumbs up, you can do this. That's how I remember for when I practice. And shoulders, you want to have your shoulders, or your elbows rather, you want to have your elbows parallel up so that your forearm is parallel to the ground. And that just makes things so much easier. And that's one of the exercises. And then for the right hand, again, you definitely want to make sure that your forearm is parallel to the ground. And then with both hands, actually, a good way to describe it is want to have palms down and thumbs up. And since it's easier to demonstrate on the right hand, because you can actually see, hello, to demonstrate how to actually manipulate your fingers to play the harp, I'll demonstrate on the right hand. So again, pinkies out of the way, no pinkies up. Pinkies out of the way, palms down, thumbs up. Actually, with the right hand, now that I think of it, it can be cupped a little bit more towards the strings. With your left hand, though, it's going to be facing down a little bit more. So when you're getting ready to play, instead of like that, you want to make sure that you read the music. Don't be impulsive about it, and place your fingers before you play. So let's say I was going to do C, D, E, F. You basically just pull your finger towards you and plop it into the palm of your hand. And while I'm thinking of it, I'll also post the link to Sylvia Wood's videos, because she also has a YouTube channel. It has selections from the video, or the video. I know at one point it was on VHS, but it may also even be on DVD. But she does have selections from the video accompaniment to the book. So definitely check those out. But a little mini lesson. So you'll do, and then with the thumb, instead of, I know it'll be very tempting to pull your hand up towards your thumb. That was something that I really struggled with when I was first learning, is making sure you pull your thumb down to meet your hand rather than bringing your hand up to meet your thumb, because you're not really going to get a very good sound quality versus... See, hear that? That's just a nice clean... I like it. So right now I'm just going through all the exercises, trying to relearn. And also, again, trying to relearn the place before you play. So for instance, let's say I was going to do something like that. You could go either way, but again, it depends on what the music is instructing you to do. So, if I was going to do it a little bit more fluidly, play 1, 2, 3, place my ring finger, play 4, place the rest. Have it. So, and I think at this point, I'm just going to stick out with the harp, kind of hold off on the guitar and the ukulele for now. And hopefully I'll have enough time by the time I record next episode, I'll have made some progress. So we'll see. So that's as far as I've gotten in terms of playing music. Then just general life stuff. When I came back from my trip to Germany, which again was amazing. Oh, still can't stop talking about it. But anyway, one of the weekends after my trip, I took my dog out for some errands, my dog Linus, and we had fun. Well, I did, because I got to show him off. He got to started off in the back seat, and then I let him ride shotgun. So the first errand that we did together was we went to my work, and I got him a new harness. That way, when we do go out on walks, won't be quite as much of a pain. So the harness that we use at work, the leash clips to the front rather than the back, because when it clips to the back, it keeps their shoulders square on whatever they're chasing after, whereas the front kind of keeps them under control, directs their shoulders towards the handler and towards the leash, and keeps them from choking out. So got that for him, and he doesn't seem to mind it. Then afterwards, well, here's a little video clip. So someone's getting a little spoiled today. So first off, he gets to ride shotgun. And look what he's got, a puppuccino. Basically a little cup of whip. Let's just say he does not get this every day. In fact, this is his first one ever, and he absolutely loves it. Yeah, good. Yeah. And we'll check back with you later. Bye. So there you have it. Again, one spoiled little dog. We also tried giving him a new plush toy last night. Now, he hasn't had a plush chew toy in several years, because even with the ones that claim to be super tough, he will find the seam. We have to look for ones that don't have exposed seams, because when they do, he will find that seam and just pick at it and pick and pick and pick and take the stuffing out, usually within 10 minutes. So, the reason we brought that on was we wanted to, lately I've been going through some of my old things from when I was a kid, including plush toys, and while I was going through them, he managed to get one and run off with it, and now that his scent was on it, I put it back in the bin, because it was one that I was planning on keeping, and the whole time he was just obsessing over it, and he would just sit there and give me the most pathetic look. I'm like, dude, this is not for you. You were not supposed to have that in the first place. And my mom suggested, oh, just give him one of yours. I'm like, first off, no, these are not meant for dogs. He will, if he were to destroy it, if he were to ingest parts of it, that would be an expensive vet bill, which I don't want to deal with. And also the ones that would have been okay, they have sentimental value to me. So no, not happening. So we compromised and we got him a new plush. And we thought, oh, he'll be fine. He'll just kind of chew on it, blah, blah, blah. He started picking at the seams less than about 5 minutes. After about 5 minutes, there was, he started to get the seam and the thread was kind of loose. And sorry, just have to pause one more time. There we go. Saw a FedEx truck come down the drive. Whoop. And wasn't sure if he was going to ring the doorbell, so I had to usher Linus outside to keep him from barking like a maniac, because that's what he does. And anymore, it's so weird. Anymore, when we have visitors, they don't even have to ring the doorbell for him to start going bonkers. We live in a gated community, so when they call from the gate, we beep them in from the phone. Well, he's come to kind of put two and two together of, certain phrases and, us being on the phone to figure out someone is going to ring the doorbell, and he starts going bonkers at that point. Dude, you are as dumb as you are sometimes. I love him to pieces, but he is not exactly the brightest dog sometimes, but for those moments, he does have a lot of, well, you are too smart for your own good. So that's that. So that's about it for just general life chatter. Just a few more things to go before I head out. First off, since I'm also participating in, I mentioned before that I'm participating in the Big Stash Blowout. Wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit more. So again, the goal is to get Stash into finished projects. If you join the group, you can post in the thread and kind of create bowls, kind of chatter, discuss. One thing that I did to kind of help me along is when I start a project, I work on it for a couple of days, just as solidly as I can. And I try to do that on days when I'm going to be busy, so that way I have an idea of what I can expect. And then on a slower day when I have more time, that just means I have a little extra done for that day. So if you're in the group, you can see this in that thread. But I figured I'd show it off now. So what I do to kind of help see how I'm doing is I'll do a schedule, and I have that on my notes. Let's see if it'll... Well, it's not really showing up. So what I did was in my phone's notes section, I put in parentheses 1 day's work, and then my units, I used the little yarn ball emoji, since that is a thing now. I'm happy about that. I put the little yarn ball emoji and had that, at least for this time, as inches completed. And from working on the first sock, I was able to estimate average about 2 inches per day, and just set the toes, heels, and cuffs as their own days. And now keep in mind that this was one at a time, so if I were going to be doing 2 at a time socks, I would probably average 1 inch a day because you're doing double the work. So I had my projected timeline, so I started April 29th, and then had, or at least for sock number 2. Sorry, I thought I heard something outside. So for sock number 2, I started that on April 29th. I had the toe projected for that day. And then 2, 4, 6 inches by May 2nd, May 3rd do the heel, so on and so forth. And then accomplish May 7th. So I was able to have that, and then from there I tracked my actual progress. And so for a while I was on time. Then I fell behind a half a day. Made up for it and caught up by half a day. In this instance, I did not finish on time, but at least I have an estimated schedule for completion. So, thought I'd share that with you. Again, I'll post a picture of it in a moment, because it's a little bit easier to show the screenshot rather than trying to show what's on the phone. Alright, and then that's all I've got as far as make-alongs. As far as podcasts, I've been trying to catch up on podcasts that I've either started watching or wanted to start through during Lent. I had given up social media, so I gave up YouTube and podcasts along with the usual Instagram, Facebook, blah 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 blah. But now that I'm back in the swing of things and want to catch up, I figured it would be fun to do a little shout out to the ones that I'm watching or the ones that I want to watch, because even though it's funny because even though we all kind of share similar formats, we're all different. We all have our own personalities, and we all make different things. We all have techniques that we like and dislike, and so no matter who you watch, you're always going to get a different perspective. And now, granted, I still have a lot of catching up to do, even with the podcasts that I have started. But I think one thing that I'll do for future episodes is maybe talk a little bit about other podcasts that I watch or have started watching, and share why I like them, and kind of spread the love, because that's what it's all about, sharing our love for what we do and kind of building up that community. And then lastly, there will be, hopefully soon, a few happy changes, a few exciting changes for my own podcast. So one thing that I want to start doing is including techniques or mini lessons into the podcast. So for instance, if, someday I might demonstrate how to do cables for someone who's never done them before. Or if there's a technique that you're interested in that you want me to cover, comment below. Now, keep in mind that if it's a proprietary thing, like the fish lips kiss heel. Now, something like that where it's part of a paid for pattern, or the technique itself is part of a lesson that you do have to pay for, I'm not going to be covering that. But but things that may be otherwise common knowledge that you can find in any book or let's see, what's the word that I'm I'll think of it. I'll think of the word that I'm looking for. Public domain. There we go. Things that are arguably public domain, just let me know and I will be sure to include that in an episode. So that's one thing. Also, I'm going to be looking into changing styles of recording, including recording on other devices. So, for instance, a little point and shoot. I do have a little point and shoot camera that I might try. Also, just recording things on the go with my phone, things like that. And I know it won't happen next episode, but I want to work on a new logo, a more official logo for my channel, for the podcast. So I do like the one that I have, but first off, it doesn't show off Linus, doesn't show off really part of Houndstrings, and I love the concept of I love the way I did the name written in the yarn on the floor. I just kind of stood on a ladder and took a picture from above. But it just kind of looks a little sloppy, I think, but we'll work on that. Still keeping the theme music. I really like that little riff, but hopefully as I keep going, hopefully I'll be able to podcast a little bit more regularly now that I'm back in a semi-set routine. And yeah, more fun to come. Alright guys, well that is it for this episode, and until next time, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye! Ready to record. I have his blanket all set up, and then I see this. Linus, do you have my yarn? Oh, I just got a little growl out of you. Hey, Liney. Hey, Linus. Hey. Gotcha! Oh, so close. He says, okay, I give up. And of course the ball band's ripped. Well, boo. Boo. What do you have to say for yourself? You show me your belly? Do you have surrender? Oh, you're such a beast. You're such a beast.